Hey everyone, welcome to the Guiding You Forward podcast presented by Mountain America Credit Union, where we talk about all things financial related. And today we're talking about auto loans. And thankfully, Kristin Patterson is with us. Hi, Kristin.
Hi.
And Kristin is a regional manager of member service at Mountain America. So we are so lucky to have her today. Kristin, tell us everything we need to know about auto loans.
Oh my gosh. Well, there are a variety of things. If you're looking to purchase a car or to lease a car, probably one of the first things you want to look at is kind of how to get the best auto loan.
Okay.
A lot of times we have members that will come in and they aren't sure what their credit history looks like. They aren't sure if their credit's good or bad. You would be shocked at how many people just
have no clue.
Yeah, have no clue.
Okay.
And so it's really good to know what your credit history looks like because the better credit history you have, the better rate you're going to get at a financial institution. So next thing I would recommend to get your best auto loan is make sure you're shopping around. Make sure that you're looking at a variety of different dealerships, that you're looking at private sellers. There are a lot of options out there depending on what kind of vehicle that you're looking for.
Okay, interesting. I have a memory being very young, and I'm the youngest of 8 kids. So I remember my parents taking all of us to the dealership, sitting in this waiting room, eating the free popcorn while my dad's going back and forth with this man behind the glass. Like, it took forever. All I remember as a kid is eating free popcorn and it taking forever for us to get our ginormous van, right? For our huge family. Is that really like the experience that is still going on today, or what is that experience like? Is it best to go to the dealer and get financing? What are your thoughts?
You know, I always recommend to our members, I think it's really beneficial to get a pre-approval before you go in. We definitely have indirect lending here at Mountain America also. So we have a variety of different dealerships that we work with and offer financing through. But a lot of times I think it's beneficial for our members to come in and speak with one of our FSRs at the branches to kind of get to know how much they qualify for, what their payment would be. But the nice part is your FSR that you meet with will take the time to kind of understand what your goal is. Are you looking for payment? Are you payment driven? Are you looking for a certain payment every month? Are you looking for interest rate? Are you trying to stay within a certain guideline or bounds? And I think it's really important to do that because sometimes when you get to the dealership and you see those new cars and they're fancy and they have these gadgets, all of a sudden we see a lot of people walk away with a car that maybe they are really stretched in their budget to pay for. And if they sit down with one of our FSRs, I think they're better equipped to go out and start shopping.
Okay, so you would recommend sitting down first, looking at our budget, our credit history, getting that pre-approval, and really understanding what we will qualify for.
100%.
So let's say, Kristin, I already have an auto loan. I've had it for a couple years. When should I really look at refinancing? What are your thoughts there?
So there are really a variety of reasons to look at refinancing a vehicle. First one is probably to shorten the length of your loan. Say you'd purchased a vehicle and the rate was significantly high, and that can depend on the person, what they consider high. But things are, crazy, and so rates are all over the place every single day, but maybe rates have gone down and you realize that, and refinancing your vehicle would allow you to make the same payment, say for 48 months instead of 72. Because your interest rate was so much lower. So that's definitely one you want to look at. If your credit score has improved, so, we have several members that have maybe gone through some tough financial times, maybe had a bankruptcy in their past or maybe just some late payments. And when they qualified for their loan, maybe they qualified at a higher rate and now their credit's improved. And so we can get them a significantly lower rate again. And so that's another great option to look at. If you've got a lease, so maybe you're on a lease and it's set to expire, that's a great time to look at refinancing and, purchasing the vehicle outright. And then just lowering your monthly payments. Even if you decide to keep the same term, but you were paying a high rate and we can lower that rate significantly, your monthly payment goes down. So many options out there. We have a lot of members that don't even realize a lot of times your vehicle, obviously you're making monthly payments, and they'll have equity in those vehicles. And some of my favorite stories are when members come in and our FSRs do a great job of, assessing what their goals are and their needs. And they ask questions because they genuinely want to make sure that our members are in the best position possible. One of my favorite stories around that is down in St. George a couple of years ago. Some members came in and they were looking at loan options because they were going through the adoption process. And they were trying to decide what they wanted to do. And they wanted to, after the FSR had some discussion with them, asked several questions, they really didn't want to take out a home equity loan and they wanted to pay it off as soon as possible. And so she asked them they had a vehicle loan with us that they owed maybe a couple $1,000s on, and they discussed that vehicle, and she found that they had some equity in that vehicle. She found that they had another vehicle finance with Mountain America that had been paid off, and she was able to refinance both of those vehicles and take out the equity in those, and they paid for their adoption, and they were able to bring twin boys home.
Oh,
and so
awesome.
Just so many exciting things that sometimes our members don't realize are options out there for them. But that is another reason to maybe look at refinancing that people sometimes don't even consider.